I'm here to talk about designing social good. Hi, Toa. It's a pleasure. My name is Luke Woods. I'm the head of product design at Facebook. You can find me around the internet with LKWDS, my name without any vowels. I don't have any really fancy slides for you today. This is going to be a pretty raw presentation. And I think that mirrors our focus on impact at Facebook. It was 10 years ago that I was in Berlin last. It's a pleasure to be here now. The city has changed tremendously in that time. A little bit before that, I was in school, design school at the University of Cincinnati. The design school is known to folks who know it as DAP. And when I was at DAP, I made friends with this gentleman here, Jay Ott. Jay was studying fashion design. The school included students studying architecture, digital media, graphic design, fashion design, art, urban planning, and so forth. Jay was studying fashion design, and Jay was no ordinary student of design. He was extraordinary. Jay told his parents at the age of 7 that what he wanted to be when he grew up was not Superman. He wanted to be Ralph Lauren. Jay, as a high school student, convinced his school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to let him do fashion shows with the entire student body. And he did one at the end of each year. When Jay was doing these at the beginning, he didn't even know how to sew. I think the story goes that he actually stapled or superglued seams of garments together, bought all the fabric from thrift stores, and even once used garbage bags as a makeshift material. Jay maintained an obsessive collection of Vogue magazines. He would purchase 2 copies of each magazine, one to keep in perfect condition for his archive, and a second that he would cut apart and use to make collages, which were his primary manner of sketching and exploring ideas. Jay was a really successful student. When he finished design school in Cincinnati, he moved to New York. He started working at a fashion label called The Row, which you may or may not know. It's a fashion label run by the Olsen twins. Jay really loved being a part of the fashion community in New York. This is a photo of him with Bill Cunningham, who just passed away a couple weeks ago. And with the Olsen twins and the team of designers at The Row, he worked to create a number of high fashion collections and helped The Row to win a series of different awards from the Council of Fashion Designers of America. I live in San Francisco, and whenever I would go to New York, which would be once or twice a year, I would always make it a point to visit Jay and catch up with him. This was a great routine. Until one day I got a really weird message. I got a message from Beatrice, one of Jay's best friends, saying that he had gone missing, that nobody had heard from him for the past 24 hours. Gone missing? Who goes missing? This is really bizarre. Did Jay decide to go on a spontaneous vacation? Did he just happen to forget his phone somewhere? Is his phone out of batteries? What's going on? So I started reaching out to people to try to find out. All of Jay's friends started reaching out to people to try to find out. And a community was started, a community called Find Jay Ott. If you're visiting from New York, you may have seen these missing person posters that were plastered all over the city as people rallied around trying to find where Jay might be and what might have happened. The story got picked up by the local news. It spread on Facebook. It got picked up by a number of publications, the New York Times, New York Magazine, People Magazine, and a very long list. We didn't know what was going on. Several days into the search, we got a new bit of information. The security camera at Jay's building, the building of his loft in Brooklyn, had captured this image of him leaving his apartment at like 3 or 4 in the morning. So we knew what he was wearing. We knew he was walking in the direction of Manhattan, and that was it. Everything else was a mystery. The search continued. These flyers were everywhere, and days turned into a week to 2 weeks, and about 3 weeks later, Jay's body was found in the East River. Again, with no explanation, what could have happened. A few days after that, an autopsy was done, and it was determined that Jay's cause of death was drowning, and his manner of death is unknown and will forever remain a mystery. Jay is somebody who I was super close to, an inspiration personally, and also I think an inspiration for many of us in the creative community. His story really sets the stage for the type of work that we're doing at Facebook that's focused on social good. This work is all about empowering people to come together to try to help one another. And I'd like to share a few different examples of that work. This is all early days work. It's something that we're just getting started on. Suicide prevention. So over 800,000 people a year die due to suicide, according to the World Health Organization. Although there are many, many more attempts than this figure. Suicide was the second leading cause of death amongst 15 to 29-year-olds globally in 2012. You probably think of Facebook as a place to share photos of your friends and family, maybe a place to wish others happy birthday. But Facebook is also a place where sometimes people put messages out that might be messages that cause you to be concerned. What can we do to help in these kinds of situations? One thing that we can do, and one thing that we're doing, is partnering with different suicide prevention experts in the academic community. This example is from the University of Washington, where I went to graduate school, Forefront, and is a group that really tries to understand what we can do to help to prevent suicide. So, if you see a post on Facebook that causes you to be concerned, you can go ahead and report that post, and Facebook will connect you with the latest recommendation and advice from the experts in suicide prevention. The advice includes things like, for example, it's not great to talk with someone who is at risk about them committing suicide, because that seems like a crime, and it actually increases their feelings of guilt. So there are a whole bunch of tips for you, the person who's worried, who's empowered to try to help their friend. There are also a whole bunch of tips for the person that you're worried about. So when that individual comes back to Facebook, we actually pause their Facebook experience, and we take them here. Oop, this is actually a video, but we won't watch it, that's okay. We try to connect them with their local suicide prevention hotline or experts or the existing infrastructure in their community, as well as providing general tips and recommendations that have been proven in the academic community to help. This is a small example of steps that we're taking with Facebook and designing Facebook to empower people to help one another and to try to do more good in the world. Another such example is a product that we call Safety Check. Safety Check you may have heard of. You may not know that Safety Check was started in Japan in 2011 following the earthquake and the tsunami. And at that time, the phone lines in Japan were all down. And as a result, people were turning to products like Facebook to try to communicate with their friends and their loved ones, to check in on who's okay, and to ease your concerns in this time of crisis. An intern in our small office in Tokyo was really inspired by this and began hacking together a solution, a way to productize this on Facebook, a way to structure the data, a way to make it more scalable and more helpful to those who are experiencing a crisis and their loved ones. The way that the product works is very simple. If you're in an affected area, you receive a notification to pull you in. You can mark yourself as safe or otherwise, and then you can very simply check on your friends to see how they're doing. Safety Check is something that we have initiated 19 times this year and across the globe, and over 1 billion people have received notifications that their loved ones who are in affected areas are safe. I've mentioned a couple times now that social good at Facebook is all about empowering people to do good and to help one another. And we aspire for Safety Check to be available and to be present any time that people are in danger and any time that it could be helpful. As such, we've recently been doing some work on what we're calling community-activated safety check. And community-activated safety check means that when there's a crisis, when something is going on somewhere, people come to Facebook naturally to post. And when they do, Facebook, after they post, will prompt them, would you like to turn on safety check in this particular area? And if you say yes, we'll ask for your status. You can say, I'm safe. And then we actually encourage you to invite your friends by asking who is safe. In that way, somebody can start Safety Check and pull in all of their friends and organically create this kind of network. This is something that we're really excited about. We've been quietly testing this, but the community of Facebook has actually already initiated 2 safety checks, both very recent, one in Baghdad and one a couple weeks ago in Orlando. Safety Check, again, is all about bringing people together and empowering people to look out for one another. I have one last example that I'd like to share a little bit about today, which is charitable giving. You may recall from a year or two ago the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, which was an incredible phenomenon where people contributed over $100 million to the ALS Foundation over the course of a few months. One of the really amazing things about that is you can see in the comment here from the ALS Association that they're actually providing people with information for how you might send a paper check in the mail to them. So there's a huge amount of friction involved there, and a huge amount that could be reduced. We got really excited about helping to make this kind of fundraising easier for people, and so we decided to start taking small steps in that direction. The first small step it was for Ebola, which you may remember being a hot topic not so long ago. So we quickly put together an experience that would enable Facebook to ask people to donate to the cause. We learned a lot from this, and we refined the design, the product, and the technology. And we did a similar thing a little while later for Nepal, after the Nepal earthquake. And we focused a lot of our energy on reducing as much friction and removing as much choice as is unnecessary from the donation flow. So you can see here that your payment credential might be pre-filled. There's a pre-selected organization that you're donating to, and there are even some recommended, and there's a pre-filled amount, which makes it quite easy to donate. And all of these small changes and refinements helped the people who use Facebook to raise about $15 million for relief in Nepal. What's incredible about that to me is that the $15 million came from 770,000 unique people. So it's a huge number of people donating very small sums of money from around the world. That's just a small step, though, in the overall vision that we're pursuing. A next step is moving away from Facebook-initiated fundraising to charities being able to initiate fundraisers themselves. And actually, as we speak, we are slowly rolling out a test that will empower people who use Facebook to initiate fundraisers for the causes that they care about. For the time being, anyone will be able to initiate a fundraiser. However, we are only starting with nonprofits that are based in the US. We're very excited, though, to scale to global nonprofits as quickly as we can. This is just a fun anecdote. At Facebook, we really like to dog food and internally try all of our products. And Jeanette from the design team had this great idea for engaging her community of donors to the WWF, that she would take requests for what animal any donor would like to draw and would thank them by creating this special drawing just for them. So charitable giving, we're taking small steps forward, but as with suicide prevention, as with Safety Check, it's really all about how can the people who are part of the community of Facebook, how can we empower them to help one another? I'm really excited about this type of work. I'm excited about it because it's about designing and building products for the full range of experiences that characterize the human condition. It's not really about the flashiest design solution, nor is it about the latest technology. It's really about problems that people are facing and how we can connect people and bring them together to support one another. This is work that we're just getting started with at Facebook. This is one of my favorite Facebook sayings: the journey is 1% finished. I also think that this is the kind of work that I would love to see more of from the broader tech and the broader design community. I think that the potential for impact that we have in the social good space is enormous, and I think the potential for connecting people and empowering people to help one another is a particularly important part of that. Thank you so much for your time. And
Luke, thank you so much. So one
Thank
question
you,
from
Nico.
my side. Did you do the ice bucket challenge?
Sadly, I did not do the ice bucket challenge.
There's still time though, I hear, right? It's an ongoing thing, so we can work on it maybe.
I'm open if you want to do it together.
He's good. He's good. All right, we may do it together. Any question? Maybe we take one or two questions because we're a little behind. But if you have one or two questions, ideally you can come in front, or do we have a mic going around?
You're welcome.
Hey. Hello, I'm Kate. Are you guys, it's very funny, the last part, the charity, is very good, but it also looks a little bit like Kickstarter with this little verse. Are you looking into becoming a next Kickstarter on the Facebook?
So the question, in case folks didn't hear, is about what's the relationship between fundraising on Kickstarter and fundraising on Facebook. And a couple thoughts there. First, we're really focused right now on fundraising for charities. And I think that that's a little bit different from the direction that Kickstarter or other crowdfunding platforms are taking. I also think that there's something special about the community of 1.65 billion people who are using Facebook, and enabling that group of people to do the things that they're already doing today, as you can see from the Ice Bucket Challenge, in a way that's just a little bit more streamlined and a little bit more efficient.
Just to build upon that last question, we were discussing, is this an opportunity for Facebook also to monetize this transaction, or is the funding going directly to the cause when someone's donating using this charitable giving function?
It's a great question. It's about some of the details of the funding and where does it go. We want as much of the funding as possible to go directly to the nonprofits. It's also important that this product is a sustainable product that we can scale. So I don't recall what the rate is, but there's a pretty standard small percentage rate that a number of organizations use in order to fund the payment processing. So we're not interested in this as a revenue stream. Our goal here is social good and is empowering people to raise money for the causes that they care about. But it's also important that it's a product that's set up to scale and is self-sustaining.
Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time also for another
Thank you,
question.
Nico.
Thank you for coming by.